I'm Amanda, and this is The Middle of It, podcast about the messy but beautiful in between parts of life. Today's episode is called Take What You Want, Leave the Rest, which has become a mantra in my life. I remind myself of it when I'm spiraling in other people's expectations, when I feel pulled to over explain a boundary, or when I'm just flat out exhausted from saying yes to things I didn't actually want to do in the first place. This episode is about picking your battles, learning to say no, recognizing when your ego is doing the talking, and most of all, giving yourself permission to walk away from what's not yours to carry. Let's get into it. Let's start with this. You don't need to attend to every argument you're invited to. These were life changing words said to me by a former sponsor, and they've changed the way I move through the world. Arguments are often just battles of ego. And when that triggering text comes in, or someone says something that sparks that heat inside you, that urge to over explain or defend yourself, that's the invitation. That's the moment where you get to choose whether or not to show up. Don't respond right away. Let the other person say what they want and then let it go. Redirect or walk away. Trust me, this takes a ton of practice, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, even when the stakes are high. I'm still very much in the middle of figuring this out. Just ask my partner. But this skill has helped me in parenting, relationships, work, you name it. One of the hardest situations, when someone I care about tells me how I should do something without being asked. Sometimes I can hear it, thank them, and move on. Other times, I want to debate. I want to win. I want them to see my wisdom. Can you see the ego there? The moment I respond in defense, I've given them a seat at my table. I've opened the door to a conversation I didn't actually want to have. So I ask myself, does this need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said right now? If the answer to any of those is no, then it's time to walk away from the conversation. It protects my peace, and sometimes it protects the relationship. We think we're defending ourselves or setting the record straight, but a lot of the time, we're just trying to be right or trying to get someone to see us, validate us, agree with us, so we can finally feel settled. Before you respond, ask yourself, does this person require a voice in this conversation? Am I seeking resolution or approval? And why isn't my own validation enough? There's a difference between ignoring input and choosing your counsel wisely. I fully believe in having a network of emotionally safe people, folks you can turn to and say, hey, am I off base here? Or can I run something by you? If when those people who have no skin in the game and aren't personally tied to the situation at hand are offering suggestions that you want to leave or back away from, that's a good time to check your ego or consider their thoughts. But not everyone gets a mic. Not everyone deserves that energy. Let's shift gears because the other side of boundaries is what we say yes to and why we say yes. I used to commit to things because I wanted to feel important, to be seen as capable, to prove how much I could handle. But when I slowed down and started checking in with myself, I realized that half the things that I said yes to, I didn't have the bandwidth for, and I wasn't going to follow through on with integrity. And sometimes I said yes just for the performance, not the purpose. So before you say yes to something, anything, ask, do I actually want to do this? Will I bring the kind of care and commitment it deserves? And am I saying yes because I can or because I feel like I should? If your yes is about being liked, pause. If it's about proving your worth, pause. There is nothing noble about betraying your capacity just to be seen. Early on, my sponsor had me uncommit from just about everything. The only commitment I took on was scanning temperatures at the door during COVID in the meetings. And that combined with my job, kids, and recovery was all I was allowed to be committed to. I needed that. It was like a commitment overload detox, and it was hard. It's not about whether something is worthy of your time. It's about whether you are the right person to show up for it fully, honestly, and with care. You can ask yourself, will I bring value to this? Do I have the capacity to do this well? And is there someone else who could benefit from this opportunity? That's a big one for me. Because if you say yes and show up half hearted, resentful, or burned out, that's not service. That's self neglect. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is not take up space and let someone else step into it, even when our ego wants to say yes. This can be an opportunity to be of service in helping others find opportunities to help in ways they can. We'll talk more about being of service in another episode, but I'll just say this for now. Let your yes be a commitment, not a performance. So, what about when you say no? Here's where it gets uncomfortable for people pleasers, overachievers, recovering perfectionists. Saying no without the long explanation, without the apology tour, without the list of 10 reasons to convince someone why I'm not a bad person. I can simply just say, no, I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. Or no, thank you. And that can be the end of the sentence. It's not my job to manage someone else's reaction to my boundary. It's my job to hold the line I've drawn with love, with integrity, and without guilt. One tool that's helped me is saying, let me get back to you on that. It gives me time to check my calendar, check in with myself, and make a decision I won't resent later. It also tells the other person that even if I do end up saying, no, sorry, I can't, I gave it enough time to show that I know it's important to them. Boundaries aren't meant to make everyone feel safe. They're meant to help you feel grounded and clear. This is where it all ties back to addiction. Because let's be honest, everything I've been talking about so far, it's not just about boundaries or burnout or even protecting your peace. It's about the illness underneath, that pull in us that wants us to put on a mask, that wants to keep up appearances, that wants people to believe we're doing fine even when we're not. That's the sickness. It's the same one that says, say yes so people think you've got it together. Raise your hand so no one sees you're drowning. Do more. Take on more. Prove more so you don't have to sit with what's actually going on. And if we don't start paying attention to these pieces of our everyday lives, these micro decisions, these habits, these motives, we are so much more vulnerable to slipping backwards because healthy minded people, they don't drink excessively, they don't do drugs. Not because they're better, but because they're not running from something all the time. That was me. I used to wear every mask possible. I didn't want people to see the real me. I wanted to be the one who could handle everything. And when I came into AA, the first step, the part about unmanageability, was so hard for me. I literally thought, what do you mean unmanageable? I'm managing just fine. But I wasn't. I wasn't doing anything at 100%. I was stretched so thin across so many things that everything I did was getting half of me at best. And that's what this whole conversation, this whole episode is really about. Not just boundaries, but integrity. Not just saying no to others, but saying yes to yourself fully. So that when you do commit, you show up as someone who is actually there. So, right now, I'm working on a project at work for Alzheimer's awareness. It's a volunteer thing within a group I'm part of, and I'm giving it 100%. I'm passionate about it. I'm excited. It matters to me. But just last week, I was on a call and someone said, "We need volunteers. Who can take this on?" Silence. And my gut reaction, my instinct was to raise my hand because I'm someone who gets so uncomfortable when there's silence and no one's volunteering. But I paused. I checked in with myself. I realized I couldn't give that new thing 100%, not without compromising the things I'm already giving my full self to. And so instead, I suggested we open the opportunity up to others in the group, not just the leaders, but members too. So more people could get involved in a tangible way. And it turned out to be the better decision for them, for me, for everyone. This is the work. This is what it means to recover from the inside out, to stop being driven by guilt, ego, or fear of how we'll be perceived, and to start making decisions based on our real values, our real capacity, and our real selves. Because if we don't adjust these things, if we don't heal these habits, then it's not just about burnout, it's about relapse. It's about going backward. It's about becoming that version of ourselves who needs to escape again. But when we do the work, when we learn to pause, to check in, to make honest decisions, that's where real recovery lives. So take what you want, leave the rest. That's the heart of this episode. You don't have to go to every fight. You don't have to say yes to every opportunity. You don't have to prove you're a good person by giving yourself away. Take what you want from every interaction, every relationship, every recovery meeting, conversation, book, podcast, including this one. If something resonates, keep it. If it doesn't, leave it. It doesn't mean the meeting was useless. It doesn't mean you stop going. It just means that one part wasn't for you. We don't throw out every book because we didn't just like one. So don't abandon your whole journey because one thing didn't land. You don't have to carry it all. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to protect your energy. And you're allowed to trust what's right for you won't require you to betray yourself to keep it. So maybe that's your takeaway this week. Pay attention to your yes. Trust the power of your no. And when the arguments come calling, remember, you're allowed to not show up. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be understood to be valid. Take what you want, leave the rest. Until next time, keep going.